85% of medical schools do not require a nutrition class.
Yeah.
That's a problem to me.
We are just missing health. I mean, it's embarrassing how unhealthy Americans are.
Women can do the HRT, but the doctor isn't helping them dial it in.
Because they feel so good that first month, these women, they tell all their friends, but they don't tell them 3 months later when they're crashing. You know, if by chance a doctor is listening to your podcast, just say, I'm sorry. Like, I was brainwashed in medical school. Like, you know,
Right.
I mean, we all are.
Let's fucking go. You are listening to the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot. Wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up.
And this is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy, and I have a guest today. So we're going to do a nice interview today. You know, we met online, which isn't a big surprise because we conservative values, talk about Jesus, and then we're talking about hormones. And specifically, she has a book called Reset, and we're going to talk about her book today. But joining me is integrative doctor Jenny Pfleghaar, who joins us on the podcast, and we're going to have a fun discussion with you guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. I'm excited. To talk politics and hormones and all the stuff. But when you said we met online, that probably doesn't sound that good.
Okay. Yeah. It was not, it was Facebook. It's not match.com.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing though. And I want to talk to you about that. So my husband loves watches, loves Rolex.
Oh, okay.
So that, and you know, the friend recommendations on Facebook come up, and then I adore watching you and Dawn. You guys are so cute.
Oh, thank you.
Getting baptized. So yeah, I just love it. I think it's great how unapologetic you are about politics and Jesus. So it's great.
That's interesting because, you know, where I come from and the direction I come from certainly isn't for everyone, especially because I just talk how I talk, and you know that does not sit well with some people. But being a recovering alcoholic and sober for 17 years, and just the life path that God had me on and has me on, just there's certain people that I can talk to that they would not listen to another person about God and Jesus. They just wouldn't. You know, I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be perfect. I just pretend to be saved because that's what it took, is for me to be saved. And I don't really apologize for that at all, because it's just so important, at least for me. I feel like I'm like a lot of people that maybe had a background of you know, being saved when I was young and in my teen years, but I left, and God never left me though. So like more of a prodigal son journey. And I think some people identify with that, you know, we can come back, and it is acceptable to come home, and we get open arms with those that accept that. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought I was saved in high school and on fire for Jesus. And then, you know, you just kind of get off track, or you get in a season of sin, or your focus is not on the Bible. And I don't know. I just wasn't surrounded by people being like, cool, like God wants you to be a doctor. Like, God wants this stuff for you. Cause I remember praying, I'm like, should I just quit? Like, do you really want this? And I heard clearly, yeah, I want you to pursue being a doctor. But I kind of got just like, my identity was shifted, and it was in becoming a doctor, and then being a mother, and then being a yoga instructor. And I just got off, and I had no one telling me like, are you in the Word? Like, So it was interesting. And then a couple of years ago, I just have amazing friends. They were in Toledo and just, calling me out on stuff, bringing me back to the word, went through deliverance and like gave up yoga, which is the new age is very dark, and, you know, quit my yoga studio, all the things, and just on fire for Jesus now. And it was such a big change. And, also coincided with all that was COVID. And
Yes.
I think a lot of us, we just were like, we're done. I owned a business in Toledo, a
Hmm.
medical practice, brick and mortar. And at the time of COVID, I was just like, I'm done. I'm a conservative Christian. This is what I am. And I had the amount of women bullying me in Toledo was insane. I had to file
Really?
police reports. Oh yeah, one threatened my life. She actually was a preschool teacher, and I told the preschool, and they like didn't do anything about it. Liberals just get a pass in Toledo. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's so crazy. So here I am. The only thing that they hate about me is that we put a Trump sign out in our yard. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I can't vote for anyone that is pro murder, of children in the womb. Like,
Hmm.
you can not like Trump. Like, I don't care. He has his own demons, as we all do.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, no one's perfect. We can't idolize these politicians. They are sinners. They are men. So anyway, that's a little bit about my backstory. So God uses our testimony to reach people, because if I was out there,
Absolutely.
yeah, like if I was out there talking about like new age and how it's darkness, disguised as light, and someone's like, well, you don't know, like, and I'm like, well, actually, let me tell you about, what I did, and how you could just feel the darkness. And it's almost like a cult, honestly, the yoga community out there. But anyway, I get a lot of hate when I start talking about yoga. But I lived it, and I am so grateful that I'm not in that world. And you probably agree, women should just be lifting weights. They shouldn't be, spending hours
Yes.
stretching.
Yes.
So,
And that cardio is fine. It obviously has its health benefits, but real long-term health benefits come from lifting and having muscle.
yeah.
And the latest over the last couple years data really shows that as much as weight loss is important, uh, somebody who might be on the slightly fluffy side, if there's
Mhm.
a decent amount of muscle under there, that's even more important in their longevity than just general weight loss. And we have these problems now with okay, so I like you as a doctor. I do. I'm not always nice to doctors on my videos or in
Right.
the things I say, but it's just because of the things that I think you've identified too. That after COVID, I don't trust these doctors, and there are doctors who knew to do the right thing.
Right.
As far as I think there were uh, definitely things that could be done to treat the symptoms of COVID that separate from the vaccine, and that doctors were having success with. But if they came out, they were at. I mean, I understand they were at risk of losing their license, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
You got to
yeah.
stand your ground
So
at
many
some point.
stories. Yeah, so many stories. And like we took an oath to first do no harm. And really our patients should be put above protocols at hospitals and everything. And I had my brick and mortar. We just followed if we were forced to wear a mask, we would have a sign, but most of the time we didn't wear a mask because it wasn't mandatory. So we did just what we had to for a while at my brick and mortar office,
Hmm.
but for the most part we were no masks. I had some patients that wanted to wear masks that saw me, but at that time, I have my little Emery, who's now 6. He was hanging out in the office with me. I was
Hmm.
breastfeeding him, had the pack and play, during COVID. So that was kind of cool. But I was still working in the ER, and at the local hospitals I was working at, we were not allowed to prescribe ivermectin. So I was printing out the Frontline Critical Care Coalition guidelines and giving it to them and saying, go home and get ivermectin and follow this. Which, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that saved many lives. And then I was treating patients virtually, lots, like so many crazy stories about people almost dying and then ivermectin helping. And I would follow the different protocols. Luvox, which is an SSRI, was in there, dexamethasone, depending on where they were at. But I would see like clockwork in the ER, someone coming in respiratory distress. I would check their visit history, and 5 days, like 3 or 5 days before, they were seen with a positive COVID test. And I'm like, we are literally like hurting people by withholding treatment. And it was horrible. So I had integrity. I have no regrets. And, if by chance a doctor is listening to your podcast, right. But if they did the wrong thing, or maybe someone listening, send this to a doctor that did the wrong thing. Just, they made a mistake, repent, say, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I made a mistake. I was wrong. I was wrong about the mRNA vaccine. Now everyone's dying and getting clots and the kids are getting myocarditis. Just say, I'm sorry. Like, I was brainwashed in medical school. Like,
Right.
I mean, we all are. So I guess I have a heart for physicians, because most physicians that I know, they went into medicine for the right reason. I mean, I get messages a lot from doctors that are scared to speak out. They don't want to lose their job. They don't want to become unhireable. So really, I was blessed with having my own business, that I am going to speak out about things. Because if I do get fired, like, at least I have my own business. But I was let go during COVID because of my Christian stances, conservative stances, and my social media presence. I was let go of one of my favorite hospitals, and it was a Catholic hospital, which is crazy. But it was the ER group.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
they got rid of me, and it was my favorite like ERs to work at. But it's okay, because it's all about integrity in any job and space we have. So that was a wild time. I think we all have post-traumatic stress from the pandemic, honestly.
And I'm still amazed at the number of people that still buy the slop that the government fed us during that time and still haven't awakened yet. And, still, I mean, flying back to Toledo, like, still wearing masks outside, and just the craziest things that, man, that wasn't what you were told in the first place. Even was
Right.
outside. Just the number of people that were just fooled. I feel bad for them to some degree. But interesting that when you bring this up, that one of the first things that came to my mind, since we're talking about Christianity too, I was very disappointed, and you probably were too, in so many pastors complying with the COVID rules. That really, really, really bothered me, that because it was the exception that didn't follow the rules, that did, stand up, because it became a national story if somebody didn't comply. But yeah, that really bothered me too, in having faith in our pastors.
Yeah, I think it comes down to fear of man. Um, it just comes down to fear of man.
Good
We
point.
should fear God and not man. And people that did comply. I mean, there was a time while I was working the ER and I didn't know what this virus was, that I was like, okay, everyone just chill out. Let's stay at home. Let's give it a couple weeks.
Yes.
And I'll look back at my memories and I'm like, yeah, I was like that. But then when we knew what this was, where it came from, how it's actually transmitted, and how it can be, dealt with, then I completely changed, because I actually saw that science, but no one was looking at the science. No one was looking at quercetin and zinc and how to do these natural botanicals. And that was my wheelhouse, being in integrative medicine. And it was just such a beautiful time that could have shown, just like, wow, this is what we can do to help protect our bodies. But it was about the vaccine, unfortunately. And now we're seeing this again with the measles outbreaks, right? So we're seeing that fear mongering, where really we just need to get kids, on vitamin A, cod liver oil, and make sure they have some Pulmicort and a nebulizer at home. So it's such a weird time right now to be in medicine. Slowly some doctors are waking up, but it's like they just don't get it. Like even with this peptide stuff, we need to
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yes, we
Like
can.
it's like they're almost you think like, oh, they're using peptides, but then they like ruin peptides with how they're prescribing them because
Hmm.
they're prescribing them with what the drug company tells them. You need to be on the highest dose for forever, for your whole life, and
Yes.
eat whatever you want, don't change your diet. It's so sad.
I'm,
I try to educate doctors, on
uh-huh.
peptides and some of the ER groups I'm in or physician groups on Facebook. And I just had one reach out to me and they're like, I'm actually curious about this. And I'm like, I'll sign you up for
Uh-huh.
my course for free to learn about peptides because yeah, I just think that we are just missing health and chronic illness is just not where we should be in 2026. I mean, it's embarrassing how unhealthy Americans are.
Yeah, and that's the focus that JFK has been Junior's been trying to make, or RFK. I'm sorry, RFK has been trying to make is to used to be decades ago that I think it was less than 20%. It might have been in the 15% area of things were chronic diseases, and now it's like 90%. And get the focus
Yeah.
and to get a focus back on health and simple things like, yeah, the first 6 months, I totally agree with you. We didn't know exactly what was going on, but the idea that it's crazy for us to believe that a lab in China who was studying this kind of stuff and where it came and it comes from right next door basically or right outside that is considered a conspiracy, but us getting it from a wet market bat and getting it, that's not crazy. That
Right.
makes, I mean, I'm not a doctor, and people like to point out that I'm not a doctor, but I also wanted to bring up with you too. So, you're probably fans of or familiar with Casey and Callie Means?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
well, I haven't met them. I know that there's some new age in the roots. But I have many friends
Hmm.
that know them and adore them.
Yeah.
I I don't know. I would like to see in Maha a little bit more Christian roots, I guess.
Hmm.
I would love that. Just because Christians need to be healthy and treat their body, as a temple. There's a lot of drama with Maha right now. I feel like over the glyphosate stuff.
Hmm.
And I wrote an article in this online paper conservator, and I don't I just don't see it as a complete like they don't care, they're not banning glyphosate, because if they ban glyphosate like overnight, do you know how many GMO crops there are? So Ohio in the
Right.
Midwest is horrible, so much glyphosate. And that was one of the reasons why we wanted to get the heck out of Ohio, because I see it with my patients. I see it when the crops are being sprayed at the beginning of the season, the end of the season, when they're desiccating them, autoimmune disease flares, their gut health is horrible. So it is a big problem, but it can't be overnight. I mean, I was actually at the store today because we're having a dirty soda bar at my daughter's graduation and we have to buy pop for it. And I'm like, this is really gross buying all this high fructose corn syrup pop, where,
Right.
yeah, where the glass bottles from that say made in Mexico are with cane sugar. And it's all it's all political, it's all subsidies and all this stuff, but high fructose corn syrup is so toxic, right? We're just doing it for this dirty soda bar for a treat. I'm gonna have Zevia. I'm gonna have, Oli Pop and Poppy for
I
those
was
that
going to
want.
ask about that poppy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna have alternatives, but I don't want people to think I'm like so weird. People already think that, so we're gonna do some traditional. But it makes me mad because we could just literally take out all high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup can cause fatty liver. Fatty liver is now surpassing alcoholic liver disease for the need for
Oh,
liver
wow.
transplants in the United States. Yeah. And they keep renaming it. First it was called NASH, now it's called MASH. They keep trying to make it politically correct, I think, which is so weird. And it's like, no, we need to fix metabolic disease so then we're not having fatty liver. And I'm seeing it with patients more and more, even ones that look pretty healthy, that they're having fatty liver problems. And when it comes down to it, it's just we're drinking this high fructose corn syrup.
Mhm.
Um, I told my daughter when I was buying this pop today, I'm like, this is giving me flashbacks to when I did concession stands in Toledo, Ohio. A couple summers ago, I wanted to head up the concession stand because I was like, I'm going to change things. I'm going to have healthier options. I'm telling you, like someone had a fit because we were out of Mountain Dew and we had to like run to the store and get more Mountain Dew. I mean, people are addicted to these energy drinks and pop, and it's just we should be getting energy from our mitochondria. Like we should look in the mirror and have energy because that means our mitochondria are healthy. And if our mitochondria, the powerhouse of our cells, if it's not healthy, then we are going to get diseases of aging and chronic disease.
What damages, what are people doing that causes the damage to their mitochondria?
Well, everything. So we do, but these are external stressors. So a lot of environmental stressors. So it could be the stuff they're spraying in the skies. It could be our water if it's not safe to drink. Chemicals being sprayed. I mean, people don't like dandelions anymore. I think they're beautiful. Like let the weeds grow. So I, all of these chemicals. There's xenoestrogens or hormone mimickers that affect male and females. I was in the sauna at the gym. Someone had a single use plastic water bottle in there and it like popped. It made a noise because it was like, heating so much. So I said
Uh-huh.
something, I'm like, hey, so many microplastics in that. Like, you just should leave it out there or not even drink it. It's going to hurt your like muscle gains. And they did not. They were not amused with that. But yeah, so all of these things can damage our mitochondria, lack of sleep, stress. So then we could talk about internal stuff, the food we eat. So I don't know. I would like your take on this, Troy. What do you do when you see someone with a plastic water bottle at the gym? Like, is that something that bothers you, or where are you at with
Well,
that?
I see at our gym, in the gyms that we go to. I actually have 3 memberships, gym memberships.
Of course you
So,
do.
so what I see, at least here in Arizona, I see less of that, and I see more of people having their own bottles, whether it's big brand name or not. But yeah, I see that more. But it does make me think when you said that. I saw, because I hate to watch young couples, usually unmarried, sometimes married, where the husband thinks he knows how to work out, and so he's going to train his wife or girlfriend. And this guy, he actually had some decent size to him, but he was just doing some just pulls on the machine, and his wife sat down and did it, or girlfriend, and she was actually doing it correctly, where she was releasing the muscle and going forward a little bit. She didn't know, but just her natural instinct was to release and then, lean back a little bit and pull it at the same time. It was literally perfect. He stopped her from doing it and made her do it like super stiff, right? Like this. It's like,
Oh,
I wanted to scream like, "Leave her alone!" So that
so you
reminds me
don't
of
say anything? You don't?
sometimes I do. I used to a lot more. I would say when I would, usually it would be kind of well received, 80 to
Yeah,
90% of the time, and then sometimes not. But especially
yeah.
if I see a new person, I want them to come back. I'm not the
Mhm.
guy who is mad that the gym is full in January. I'm the
Right.
guy that sees the 2 girlfriends come in and they're not sure what to do.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out anything. They usually end up by dumbbells, maybe do some curls, but usually within 15 minutes they give up and do what? Head to the cardio. You
Cardio.
know,
Yeah.
they're on the treadmill,
Right.
and I was like, oh, and then they're only going to come 3 more times after that,
Right.
and then they're not going to come at all. And I kind of used to specialize in new people, and I
Mm.
used to have a program that was like basically a program that would be 8 sessions,
Mm.
and at the end of the 8 sessions, you wouldn't need me anymore.
Right. That's the
Like
point.
most people don't train people like that, but in Toledo, you couldn't make any money being a trainer. You're going to be broke, you know? So I did that for a while when I was getting into things. I do less of that now. I'm very picky if I actually train someone, but I did like that because I would show somebody how to write it down, get some, so they could come in at the end of that 2 weeks. We've done everything twice. We've established the weight.
Mm.
They understand when they're supposed to raise the weight up when their reps get at a certain range, and then they add 5 pounds, and just it just worked. And if they wanted if they got stuck 6 months later or wanted some accountability, that's fine. I get that, but they could actually come in, and they weren't afraid of other people watching them because they knew what they were doing. And in fact, if
Right.
people did look at what they were doing, they were going to see somebody doing things the right way. So they could
Right.
have a little bit of confidence and not be insecure. Because the truth is, as much as we say it, most people care too much about what other people think and what other people say. They just do. I mean, for me, if most people can't do this, because if they got, and you've gotten it as well, the hate and the trolls and the people targeting you. Recently, I actually I think it was on TikTok. Somebody was a threat, and somebody told me to kill myself. And I rarely report this stuff, okay? But I did report it, and it didn't violate community standards.
What? You can tell someone
I
to
guess
off
I
themselves?
can't. You should see what was taken down of my videos. I've had them recently take down a video of me shooting at a range. And, I'm not promoting guns. I'm not trying to sell
Right.
anything. I literally have read their rules about guns, and I
Right.
don't violate it. But they took it down. They did restore it when I appealed it, but it's only gotten
Mhm.
50 views. None of my
Yeah.
stuff only gets 50 views ever.
Yeah.
That's not a
That
thing.
happened to me with something teaching about GLP-1s and how you need to maintain your muscle on it.
Yes.
It got taken down. And I was like, it was like kind of like a, hey, I'm Dr. Jen. I'm a double board certified physician. Like I'm allowed to say these things more so
Yes.
than the drug company. It was wild. I was like, this is wild. TikTok is like not
Has
TikTok
gotten
is
bad.
like,
It never used to be
yeah,
like this. It's the
it's
worst one
very
right now.
agenda, like anti-Maha, like very, very strange. But back to the gym, like I love it when guys are like that. So a couple years ago, after like when Emery was little, I'm like, okay, at the Y, when Emery was at preschool, I'm like, I'm gonna go into like the weight section, not like the machines, but the free weights. And
Nice.
with doing squats and all of that. And I would ask like what's a good form, Smith machine versus free. And there were two guys that would just like help me out, like older men,
Yeah.
like in their 60s or maybe in their 50s too, but just helping me out. And then I was comfortable, and then they let me go. And I remember this other guy, I was on the hamstring curl machine, and
Hmm.
he's like, hey, move the seat forward more because you need to bend like at a certain way. He was just giving me tips, and I'm like, thank you. Like,
Hmm.
that's the thing though. You have to be open. You have to be unoffendable. You have to assume that people are trying to help you. They're not judging you. I think that we're so not conservatives less are we're not as offendable, right?
Right.
Like the people that are so offended by everything, like they need to look inside, do some major heart wound issues and figure that out because they're just never going to be happy. And yeah, and that could be at the gym or buying food or whatever. And especially just how angry everyone is nowadays, not in Tennessee,
Yes.
but in those liberal areas. It's like
Uh-huh.
that unforgiveness, that resentment, that anger, that like your body feels that, and that is going to be pro-inflammatory, pro-disease. So it's crazy. So if
Yeah.
someone comes up to you at the gym, take their advice, or just say thank you and then don't take their advice. But I, yeah, you should have told that couple, been like,
I know. But the
maybe,
problem is, because he did have like a fairly decent physique, then they just think they know. They don't want to hear it. But I'm at a point where in my size and things where and I'm pretty trim. I'm right around 14 to 15% body fat, and I don't really like to go above that, but I'm not as lean as Dawn is, which
right.
that's a whole nother level of lean. But
Now, is she gonna stay that lean?
you know what? We're shocked. We're absolutely shocked that from her
Uh-huh.
stage weight, she
Mhm.
really only put on about 6 pounds. And
Yeah.
she's not, we eat good, we eat well, but we do go to Scottsdale almost every weekend or
Mhm.
somewhere where we're going to go to a very nice restaurant,
Right.
and we usually get dessert. So like this past
Yeah.
weekend, yeah, we had dessert. Um and so she's not denying herself those that she did right
Right.
before the competition, where we
Right.
dropped the Sunday pizza when we were watching a football game. And actually, people are really shocked about this, especially in the bodybuilding world. Is in her whole prep, we never counted calories ever.
Mm.
We
Mhm.
solely only counted protein, nothing
That's
else.
good.
And we had hers obviously at a little bit more. We started at a gram per pound of body weight and then went a
Mm.
little bit higher. Um, and that's all we did. And then we dropped, the unnecessary carbs. She needs carbs. Everybody's different. I'm not against carbs like some people
Yeah.
think I am, but me, I don't need carbs. And people are, yes, you do. No, I personally don't. I did tremendously well on carnivore. I mean, really
Mhm.
well. And the only reason I don't stick to it is because I like my Mexican food and I like to have chips and salsa sometimes. So that
Oh,
like just
yeah.
destroys my
That's
carnivore.
fair.
But other than that, like I just felt better. Everything was better. Dawn needs that, but we put her carbs around her workouts for her
Yes.
energy purposes and did that. But she got down to on a DEXA scan. I've never had what they call C4 done yet. I would like to go do that where there's 4 different tests they do to your
Mhm.
body fat. Like that's like the ultimate. But
Mhm.
next level is the DEXA scan.
Right.
And she was at 9%, which is like the equivalent of 4% on a man. And
Wow.
it said her visceral body fat percentage 7 days before the show was 0.0.
Wow. And that's good. So for those listening, it's the visceral fat, that fat surrounding all the organs is what's
Hmm.
really bad, because that's even more inflammatory. Because fat turns into, a bad inflammatory cytokine machine, where muscle produces cytokines, but good cytokines and myokines, and it's its own basically endocrine organ. So that is why when you favor the muscle, that is just going to be a nice burning machine. And
Hmm.
maybe that's what's going on with her. Like me, though, I also think we should say that women should be treated different
Yes.
pre-menopause and post-menopause. So I like my women in perimenopause specifically, like my book, The Perimenopause Reset. I talk about this. Like we do need to have higher body fat, not be obese, but 20-22%, 18 to 22, I would say, to support hormones. And when you lean down, and we see this in competitive athletes, when they really lean down and get very competitive,
Hmm.
athletic, 15% body fat and stuff, then they lose their cycle and all that, because their hormones are getting disrupted, usually because of like some cortisol. It's stressful on the body, whatnot, and they might not be ovulating, and then they're not producing that progesterone. So me personally, I just went on the InBody, at the
Sure.
gym, and I was kind of annoyed, honestly, because I wanted to lean down a little bit for summer, like
Mm-hmm.
shorts, a bathing suit. And so I was just gonna like kick it up a notch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, around my cycle, I do cycle syncing, follicular phase, go hard, luteal phase, take it easy, have some carbs, don't push as
Okay.
much in the gym. And that's all to protect the progesterone, is what I like to call it, because of what stress does to women's progesterone. And this is all, post menopause, it's different. You can play around a little more because you're on bioidenticals and all that. But for these perimenopause women and me myself, so I get on the N body and I was 22%. And I'm like, I I was kind of agitated about that. But like really like my waist is lean. My fat, it's in that nice hip thigh place, which is where I
Mm-hmm.
want to kind of get rid of it. But that's the thing. I'm not going to push so hard. I mean, maybe I'd be okay with 20%, but I'm entering that late perimenopause where I really don't want to mess with my hormones too much. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
stress. Um, I've seen it happen to women, training for marathons. I'm sure you see it a lot, women in training for these bodybuilding, lifting competitions.
Yeah.
It's messing with their hormones. And I also look at it as, I'm not going to tell people not to do those things. Yes, we should, protect the progesterone, protect the hormones a little bit, but also just don't do it continuously when you're in perimenopause, like wait till you're done or whatnot. So I think it's interesting though with Dawn. Can I
Yeah,
ask you,
you
is
can
she
ask anything.
menopausal?
Is
Is
she
she
what?
menopausal? Menopausal, no periods?
She had stuff removed.
Yeah, okay. So she's menopausal. So her
Mm-hmm.
body, you know, being that lean, it might just be loving it. It might be okay. And she doesn't really she's not going to stress her body out. So I mean, she'll just have to like watch for things and
Yeah,
stuff, cuz
there is
but
something going on with her right now that I can tell that something hormonal is out of
okay.
whack because the only thing that she's doing right now, and it's something she's done for the 2 years plus that we've been together, or right about 2 years, is HGH. We both, and I've done human growth hormone for 16 of the last 18 years. The only time I didn't do it was when I was in a financial position that wasn't very good for a couple of years. But as soon as I could, I did it again. And then last year, but not last year, 2 years ago in November, so a year and a half ago, I don't know if you had saw on my social media, but I almost died from COVID
Mm.
and I never took the shot. I had didn't realize I had COVID. I had it for about 5 weeks. We take a trip to Las Vegas, and she had to drive most of the way. We get there. I couldn't eat. In fact, I had been like complaining about restaurants in Nashville. We had just been to Nashville too. And I'm like, these are the worst potatoes I've ever had in my life. What do they do? Like,
You
and
could taste them.
I had no idea that it was me. And so we got to the hotel, and had the TV on, and I guess I went out, but I didn't realize that I did. And when I came to, it was maybe 15, 20 seconds, I guess she said. And I didn't believe her. And then I just sat there again, and I did go out, and she had to revive me with her fist hitting me. And
Wow.
then I ended up in the hospital for 4 days, and it like messed with my heart and everything. I dropped from about 202 to 168 in about 4.5 weeks. I was a show,
Wow.
but I kept working out because I didn't know I had COVID at the time. But
Yeah.
it
Wow. So
took
you
about
lost like all that muscle.
lost everything. And then it took about 9 months to fully recover. I left the hospital, even though they didn't want me to, but they weren't going to do anything. So I'm
Right.
like, I'm going back to Phoenix to be treated. And that Wednesday, so we drove back on a Monday, and that Wednesday I was in a cardiologist's office. And now
Right.
it's like it never happened. Everything is
Yeah.
back to
Good.
normal things and has recovered. But now, if I ever get sick, if I'm ever unsure, I will do a COVID test. That's what we worked out with the cardiologist, so that I don't have issues, so that I can be treated in the first few days. And
Yeah.
if something like that ever happened again.
Yeah, the spike protein is no joke, and it just goes everywhere. It's horrible, and it's, of course, attacking men mostly,
Hmm.
which it's crazy in our young men. So, are you doing a growth hormone secretagogue, or are you just
Uh-uh.
taking growth
I
hormone?
I just take growth hormone, and the reason is the peptides really are going to increase your natural production.
Right.
Well, if you lose half of your production between 20 and 30, it goes down by 50%. And after 30, it's down by 3% a year. By the time you're 50, how much are you even producing? So
Well, yeah,
if you increase little of nothing, you're still not there, going to be there. So I just think that it's better to do just replacement and just do the real thing. And this is my point of view. You could fire at me whatever you want, but I
yeah,
think the clinic doctors that are prescribing the sermorelin, tesamorelin, and those things as to older people like me, it's because the real HGH is unaffordable to the client. And so
yeah,
they're pushing that side of it. When to me, growth hormone is the icing on the cake. It's not the cake. For men, the cake is testosterone. And
yeah.
if you have the money to do extra things, and like I said, like we do NAD plus now, we started that, I don't know, probably July or August of last year. We've been doing the NAD plus peptide. It's not cheap. And I realize that. So it's not
They're
for
all
everyone.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
have
I
to
would
pick
say,
and choose.
well, with the human growth hormone, I mean, there really aren't many indications where I can prescribe that, and
Hmm.
not
Right.
keep my medical license. So, and, and you could get growth from, the head and the hand. Like there's different things. So I like more natural because that's leaning into to my integrative medicine part of me
Hmm.
and what I love. Now, like I like CJC Ipamorelin the best. I like
Yep.
the 1295 with that. So I had a patient in his late 60s, optimized on testosterone, doing great with that.
Awesome.
And he's obsessed with his weight a little bit, which is
Hmm.
good. It's
Hmm.
fine, I'm happy for him. But so anyway, I put him on CJC on 1295 Ipamorelin, and
Hmm.
I'm like, hey, like I just want you to start building more muscle. Like your testosterone's optimal because he's also, on a GLP-1, doing really well with that. He did the HCG diet for a while, and
God, I
he's
hate
like,
that.
not with me. He's like, I realize that that's not good. I'm like, yeah, let's like do some different things. So anyway, he's super happy on that.
Yes.
But I saw him, and with the growth hormone secretagogue, he put on 10 pounds of muscle.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was so proud of him, but then he kind of wasn't doing as much. So then he lost. But here's what's so silly. He's like not even lifting heavy weights. He was just adding push-ups in. So
Really?
now, yeah. So I was talking to him. I'm like, I want you to buy 20-pound weights and do lunges with that. He just gained that muscle just doing body weight exercises. And
That's
I'm like,
fantastic.
yeah. So now I cycle growth hormone secretagogues with patients. I cycle them in. So I'm putting him on MOTS-C to help with his metabolism a little bit because he feels like he's a
Uh-huh.
little bit too overweight. So I'm going to ramp up the AMP kinase pathway. Also love that just for older people to help mitochondrial health
Yep.
in general.
I'm just finishing my first cycle of Matsi.
Oh, do you love it?
Yeah.
I love Motzi so much that I named one of the stray cats we found 5 years ago at my office. We named her Motzi. So it sounds kind of cute because
That is
people
so
think it's like,
good.
yeah, they think it's like a Motzi name. And then we have another cat that I named Fox04. And people
Hmm.
are like, that's such a weird name. And I'm like, it's a peptide. And so I'm currently on Fox04 right now to get some senescent cells cleared because I could
Yeah.
finally get it from a compounding pharmacy, which all of these will be way more accessible to everyone shortly, I hope. But this guy, late 60s, yes, optimized on testosterone,
Hmm.
so important to include that. Taking his creatine. I have him on Pepti Strong too. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm. Is that a
It's
blend?
so it's a pill. It's from fava beans. It's a plant-derived
Okay.
peptide. And you would like this one. So it helps, like, so say when you were in the hospital, you
Uh-huh.
would take that because it helps like retain muscle. It basically it modifies different cytokines and myokines in the muscle to signal the muscle to stay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, by decreasing myostatin too. So kind of interesting. So have him on that for his stack, and you know, I was just really excited that he got muscle at his
Yeah.
age.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I don't know. So what you said, squeezing out more growth hormone from what you already have because it's declining, just like
Right.
testosterone for
hmm
men and women. So yeah, I don't know. I get what you say.
Well,
I
my
personally,
goals are a little bit different though too, and I don't
yeah. What
expect my
are your
clients to
goals?
have the same goals as I do, and my goals have changed over time as well.
Are you still competing? I haven't seen
Okay,
you.
so the last I competed was in 22. I was supposed to compete in 2020 for the first time,
Mhm.
and as I was training for that, in the middle of the training, that's when COVID hit.
Right.
And then I continued to train, even though my coach got scared. Even though I found a place to work out in a guy's garage, he was too scared to come. So, but I kept going, and I kept going until they canceled the show.
Oh.
And what's crazy is I kept going, but I kept going at a slower rate. And I changed some of the things that he had me doing in his diet because I hated the fucking diet because I wish I ate more vegetables, but I don't. And everything was chicken. And I changed it to where I was eating at least one lean red meat meal a day or
Mhm.
something in there, one of those. And it made all the difference in the world because I had dropped from over a little over 220 to about 197, but I felt like I'm shrinking. I'm shrinking. And once
Mhm.
I modified the plan to what I thought I should be doing, I didn't drop anymore. And I was 197 in February. I was 197 in September. And I can show you pictures. I look like two completely different people. So I
That's awesome.
added muscle and lost fat at the same time, which they say, you can't do, but I'm not natural, so I don't know if that can be. It would be harder natural, but on testosterone, and that's the other thing on testosterone. I do a TRT dose, but there's a lot of us. It's the thing. I just tell the truth. I do 15-week cycles where I'm
Mhm.
increasing the amount of testosterone. I get my blood work all done. I promote people getting blood work done, and
Mhm.
then I go back to my TRT dose, which keeps me,
Mhm.
which I'm going to ask you first before I tell you where my range is when I'm on my TRT dose. What, I mean, now I believe in two things. I believe the number matters somewhat, but what also matters that is not considered a lot of times by just your traditional PCPs is how the patient feels. So, what's your typical optimal range on total testosterone?
Yeah, so range like 700 to 900. I mean, I know you're probably a lot higher than that, but
Yeah, I'm at 1,000 to
it's,
1,300 is what I think
yeah,
is truly
because
optimal.
it's risk and benefits, right? And and if you want to be more natural, the higher and higher you get, the more what are you adding on to, help with the aromatase enzyme activity, and
Nothing unless it's needed.
so you don't
I
convert a
well,
lot to estrogens
no,
and
I and that's
DHT.
see, and I
Well, that's a
really
blessing.
so I
Yeah,
yeah, but I really dislike when a clinic doctor puts somebody on Novadex or Arimidex. They like to use the anastrozole a lot, and
right.
it's one of the
Yeah.
stronger ones. It's like, why do you have to use the strongest one right off the bat? I don't understand that. But when you first treat a patient, this is just my take, is it should just be the testosterone dosage alone. And then 8 to 10 weeks later, you retest them to see where they're at. Is their estrogen out of range?
Right.
If it's not, and even if it is slightly, are they experiencing any side effects? If they're not experiencing any side effects, and it's just, you know, and that's the thing with the ranges. I just had somebody give me their test range. I think it was from LabCorp, and they went to the VA. The VA is the worst at treating men, by the way, but the range was 193 to like 790. Okay, that was the range. So my
Mhm.
question I always tell people to ask the doctor who sticks to whatever the range is Okay, doc, but this laboratory over here, their range is 320 to 1100. So
Right.
I'm not out of range. So my thing is, where's the science in if I send my blood work to 5 different labs, the number's going to come back the same at all 5 labs, but the range is going to be different with literally every single lab. Where's the science for that?
And I think it's so hard. So men and women are
Mm-hmm.
totally different too, because women are different every single day of their 30-day cycle. And then they balance in menopause. And women, testosterone is coming from the adrenal glands. So
Right.
I rarely put women on testosterone. I have a handful that I do, but really not a lot, because once we fix their adrenal glands,
Mm-hmm.
then their testosterone's like, hey, I'm back. And when we think about like libido and sexual
Right.
desire, it's stress, it's cortisol, it's not testosterone. And give them a little PT 141 intranasally,
Yeah, we
half
use
an
that
hour.
now. We just
Isn't
I
it
have people
fun? It's so
that
fun. I
yes.
love it. It's so easy. I like the nasal spray better because the injection, you have more of a chance for nausea. So there's so many things that we can do. So for women, I'm all about balance. Now, men, if you go and get lab work on one day, it's the same, but I agree that, these ranges, you have to go with how the patient feels, similar to
Yeah.
thyroid and thyroid labs. Like, we want to be safe. We're going to check hemoglobin hematocrit. We're going to check PSA. They need to get a digital rectal exam. We're going to be checking all these things. We're going to check estrogens,
Yes.
DHT. So I think that doctors are scared. It's a special niche that
Yeah.
you have to study for, and you have to get extra education on. I got, so many conferences I went to on hormones. I got a certification on hormones through a medical school. So it's not cut or dry. So, you just have to go to a different doctor and one that works with you. Like my
Yeah.
one patient I was talking about, I work with him his testosterone, because he came to me on the testosterone, and I'm getting his estrogens down slowly, where they were
Mm-hmm.
really high when he first came. And we're using natural botanicals and herbs. So chrysin in the testosterone cream is really nice, and a little progesterone can also help with that. But anyway, I think that, like you say, these men that are going and they're told their testosterone is in range and it's 200 or 300,
Yeah.
you're just setting them up for metabolic disease. But hey, the drug companies then will put them on a GLP-1, they'll be on a
Yep.
statin, they'll be on, Effexor, Viagra, nothing will work properly. So there's not a lot of motivation in the medical school pharmaceutical pushed agenda to actually treat andropause, and treat men properly, at that point. I mean, gosh, I think I've read studies, men infertility levels and males testosterone levels are lower than ever in their
Yes.
20s. Like,
Yes. But we don't
and
do the things we don't do the things
yeah,
we
they don't
did,
look
that
yeah,
our great grandfathers did, and we don't work in the fields, and our hands aren't twice the size of mine. I mean, all these little old men with gigantic freaking hands, because they did real work, and we just don't do that. But men still need roughly about that same amount of testosterone to feel like men, and
yeah,
just have that just and the thing that frustrates me is, compared to women, women have been allowed to have it treated and it's not looked down upon, where with men, I mean, we can at least talk about it now, but it's still controversial, and it just shouldn't be. We're just supposed to suck it up and take it. My view of the women problem is there's not enough of you, and everything you've talked about are the reasons that you're one of the doctors I like. Is-
thanks. That means a lot coming from you.
yes, it does, because you are helping somebody dial it in. That's my
Yeah,
problem with women. Women can do the HRT, but the doctor isn't helping them dial it in.
right.
They're just not doing the little things.
The
Just like
Wild West.
yes,
It's the Wild West out there, because women are so different. But really, like I talk about the cortisol, women are so stressed out. They are
Yes.
so stressed out. And putting a testosterone pellet in them might help for a month, and then they're gonna crash and burn.
And
And
I
that's why
hate the
I'm not
pellets, by the way.
good. Oh, good. I was
I
gonna
hate
tread lightly,
pellets.
but I
No,
still was
I
gonna
hate
say I hate
pellets in
them.
general
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
can't control the pellet. You're going to have a
exactly.
spike and it's going to come down
Right.
and you can't control it. And if somebody is having a
Horrible.
side effect early on, what the heck can you do? You can't do
Well, like,
anything.
what are these doctors putting that in there? And some are like, well, they don't respond to this and this. And I'm like, what? Like, I haven't had one of those. Yeah, my mentor, Pam Smith, she's like anti-pellet. And she's like, they're just not being patient or trying other things or working on their cortisol. But there's so many med spas popping up. And the problem is, though, because testosterone, it's a scheduled drug,
Right.
it's addictive, because they feel so good that first month, these women, they tell all their friends, but they
Hmm.
don't tell them 3 months later when they're crashing and they feel like they want to, like,
Yeah.
go check themselves into the mental institute.
And a
So
women's dose would be so small injecting. They can do it sub-Q. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Or
it's a little
topical,
insulin.
like
Yeah.
my ladies, and it can go right in with their estradiol in menopause,
Okay.
but it's interesting. Only about a third of women need that testosterone
Right.
post-menopausal. But specifically, like one of my patients who's a farmer has the best testosterone level I've ever seen on a woman, nice dialed in. But there's also for women, there's herbs that we can take, and botanicals to support our testosterone production. But I'm telling you, if there's a man listening out there that has, his wife has a libido problem, or a
Yeah. It's
woman
a big
listening,
deal.
work on cortisol, like work on your cortisol and your stress. And hey, men listening, give your foreplay, a really nice relaxing massage. Get some lavender essential oils. Tell them that you'll do the dishes and the laundry tomorrow, and then they'll get to relax, and then they'll be ready to go. So it's not always a testosterone deficiency with women. Now,
For
men,
sure.
yeah, men, it probably is a testosterone deficiency because they're all low.
Right.
I mean, it's rare to find older men that have robust testosterone. I have seen it,
Hmm.
though. I have seen it
Yeah.
in men. They have good muscle mass. They're not addicted to their phone or porn or whatever, right? So they have healthy testosterone, and they're doing good. So
Yeah.
it's hard out there for men and women. You
It
really have to
is.
take control of your health. And why I respect you, I mean, you put in the work. It's self-discipline. You have
Hmm.
to have that self-discipline to really just, in my opinion, glorify God. We
Yes.
have to have self-discipline, whether it's waking up, reading our Bible, eating healthy, going to the gym. We're all gonna fall, we're all gonna mess up, we're all gonna have bad days, but it's just building that consistency. And then don't give up, because if you're consistent, you'll start feeling better.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but I believe this with all my heart that God blesses me in what I do. So I don't really care what other people think about it. But he literally blesses me by people that he brings into my life, and that I might be helping somebody and give them I did a video and I've been sending out to people like, okay, this is a full panel. You can print this off and hand this to your
Yeah.
doctor and say, this is what you want. Because if you don't hand them this, there's about a half a dozen things they're not going to test that are on here that you want answers to.
Yeah.
And so doing things like that, with my clients, that again, God just blessing me with that. But then they see the videos where I'm just real and raw, and I talk about being a recovering alcoholic and being sober for 17 years. And then they private message me because we've developed a relationship and they trust me and say, I'm not sure, I might have a problem. How'd you stop drinking? So it's
Mhm.
just, they first, God brings them to me for that, but that's not the real thing. The real thing is really the dealing with whatever addiction they might have and stuff too. And
Mhm.
that's, yeah, I just feel good about that. And I did want to ask you about this because we've been all over the place and it's been awesome. But with your particular medical school, where'd you go to medical school?
Lake Erie College of
Okay.
Osteopathic Medical School.
Did
Yeah.
they did they require a nutrition class, or have you gotten all your nutrition stuff on your own, seeking it out after medical school?
Yeah, all on my own. I don't remember any nutrition. I would have to go back and ask my school, but now they're requiring it.
Well,
And
85% of medical schools do not require a nutrition class.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
problem to me. That's a
Oh,
serious problem to me.
yeah. Oh, it is. But here's the thing. Are they going to do it right? Are they
Yeah,
even going to do it right? Are they going to talk about proper macros?
right.
I'm just worried they're going to do it wrong. I know we have the new yeah.
Yes.
I know we have the new food pyramid, but gosh, I remember when I thought margarine was good for me, you know? I mean, do
Yes.
you think about like how we ate, like I ate plastic for a couple years there when I was in residency. Oh man. I mean, it's just wild. So, now I'm drinking raw milk and just before actually coming on here, I didn't really have time to make food and I just like took a bite of the butter out of the fridge because I'm like, I'm just gonna be on ketones here for this.
All
So
right.
yeah, but really the nutrition thing, it's pretty wild and food is medicine. And I remember when I was working in the ER before I did my integrative
Hmm.
medicine fellowship, I was asking patients in the ER because I would see them every couple weeks because I was working full time.
Hmm.
I would tell that, like, I told this one patient, I'm like, hey, like, I'm not going to do any more CT scans on your abdomen. She'd had like 5 that year. I'm like, I think this is nutrition. I want you to start a food journal. And she's like, okay. She's like, yeah, because I've been doing like everything that the doctors tell me to do and taking all the protein pump inhibitors and all that. And, it's just
Hmm.
heartbreaking. But I'm telling you, high fructose corn syrup, like, can we just ban that? Like,
I'm with you.
it's just so many simple things. I mean, and all the seed oils and then if you start talking about this, some people think you're, a grifter, they're like, you're a weirdo. And I'm like, no, like it's actually bad for you. So I wonder what that will look like. I do have a friend that is, director of a medical school in Tennessee. So maybe I'll ask and be like, hey,
Yeah,
like I would love to provide the nutrition lecture. I would love it.
that would
Let's
be awesome. A-
Yeah,
a-
yeah,
And
maybe. Well,
it,
we'll
it
see what God has in store for me.
and it goes along with the GLP-1s that we were talking about before. Is I think most of the negative things surrounding it are really because they're getting either a dose that's too high or they weren't instructed on how to do this in the most beneficial way, which includes a lifestyle change. It's a must, or don't even bother me with you. You can go somewhere else and talk to somebody. It has to be a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And where unless you are physically unable, that means 30 to 40 minutes twice a week. That's all. That's what the research shows. That's all you need to not lose muscle. And that's the case if you're doing freaking Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
If any diet, if you don't do make the lifestyle change, you're not going to be successful in the long run. You're going to gain the weight back, but not smashing doctors, but I am. What does a doctor know about working out unless he works out himself?
Right.
He doesn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, exercise should be included too.
Yeah, it
But
has to be in with
yeah,
that.
it's crazy with the GLP-1s. And I have patients, I'm like, there's non-negotiables for them going on it. I tell them they cannot lose muscle because most of these are women over
Yes.
40. I'm like, we don't want sarcopenia. And then I tell them you will not be on a GLP-1 forever. And we're doing the
Yes.
lowest dose. I have seen women, and people are shocked with this, that have done everything. They have tried everything and they are just insulin resistant. They're not diabetic yet, but they're just insulin resistant. And we'll put them on a GLP-1 for a few months and they'll get metabolically flexible again. And then we can get them off of it. A lot of women also deal with a lot of food noise.
Hmm.
So while they're working on the root cause of that food noise, whether it's cortisol stress, not sleeping, whether it's emotional from like childhood trauma, it's a lot of things, but we're complex. That's the thing. Like people are so complex. So it's like, it's not just like, oh, a script for everyone. This is going to solve the
Right.
obesity problem. No, because solving a problem is never being on a medication forever. That is not a solution. So it's all just tools in the toolbox. And that's what I
That's
tell my
all it
patients.
is. It's a tool.
Yeah, It's a tool. It's not forever. If you build a house where you always need to, use the same tool over and over again, like you didn't build a
Yeah.
good house. So
And a way
I
better
think,
tool than the HCG diet that you
oh,
mentioned, or
yeah.
when they used to put people until it became remember 25 years ago, fen was the thing,
Oh, yeah.
and people, all those kinds of things. This is a way better tool.
Adipex, people are
Yes,
on
Adipex,
Adipex,
and
and I'm like,
doctors still prescribe that.
oh, just the other day I had someone told me that they were prescribed that, like at a baseball game or something. I'm like, no, like
No,
that's not good. We're gaining
no.
weight back. Yeah, a lot of the nurses would be on that and they'd lose weight and they're like, I can't sleep either. And I'm like, yeah, because it's like crack cocaine. But it's wild. I mean, really, yeah, when it comes down to it, like it's foundational stuff. GLP-1s are a great tool to, like, when people have tried everything to kind of switch that metabolic switch for a while,
Right.
build the muscle, get the body like waking up a little bit more, get that GLP-1 up, and then get off of it or get on a really low dose, just anti-inflammatory. Some
Right.
people stay on it. So I mean, it's just, of course, has just become a circus.
Mhm.
And you know what I hate? You probably hate this too. These women going on like Ozempic, Zepbound,
Mhm.
all of the things, the GLP-1s, and they just get so skinny, like so skinny, and they lose all their muscle.
Yep.
And it's like, and I feel like screaming at them, be like, no, like you cannot lose all this muscle. This is your metabolic, like endocrine organ. This is your longevity organ. Like, what are you doing? And I like want to shake them, but
So
I'm
I
not.
had an attorney that I used for a previous relationship that ended. And so I used this attorney, and she had been on a GLP-1. And this was like the day that we had trial. So we left the courthouse, we went and had lunch, and she had done the GLP-1 and lost a considerable amount of weight. And I could see this, the no muscle, the saggy skin.
Yeah.
But what she ate that day was like, I think I had a burger with no bun is what I had, and a side salad. And she had chili cheese fries.
Oh,
That's
great.
and that's the problem. You had chili cheese fries. You didn't do a lifestyle change at all. That's why you're in this mess now.
And no muscle.
And no muscle. And Dawn and I, we have season tickets now to the Phoenix Mercury. Last year was our first season. And we will literally sit in our seats. And whenever we see it, we will point out somebody who, there's that person there. They were on a GLP-1. And you could just see it just by the way the skin hangs.
Yes.
And you could tell that they were heavier at one time. And it's just like, that is not a good look either. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little bit vain. I want to look good.
Well, and you can tell it from their Facebook
Yes.
profiles. You're like, oh, wow. And people come to me and they're like, my patients are like, I want to talk about the shot. And I'm like, yes, let's talk about it. Here's my thing. I know they can get it from anywhere the next day, shipped to their home, but they trust me that I'm going to lead them down the right road and we are going to do it correctly. And I coach them and I say,
that's the difference. The coaching is missing.
And, it's just they're writing a script and they're done. Or the med spas. I hate it because it's all about vanity and being skinny. It's like muscle is in right now.
Yeah.
It really is for women too. And you're not going to look like a man. We're not, you can lift and lean down even and look good. So
the only way for a woman to look like a man is for a woman to do something similar to what I do. That's the only way.
Be on testosterone.
Even if it was like, because it would be super high for a woman. If they were doing my TRT dose, that would be a tremendous amount for a woman. But that's what they're doing, and there's only a select number that choose to do that. But just normally, it's impossible. That's what I tell you. I just tell them, you don't have balls. You can't turn into a man. You can just lift and look like Brooke Shield, who used to be super toned. I don't know what she did, but I just love that. Yeah, we've definitely been on the same page, and I love that, and being able to talk to you. because I'm not a doctor, as people like to point out. But that's what I tell people. Like, look, most doctors found out about nutrition the same way I did, and you had to do the same thing. You didn't get it at medical school. You got it like I did. I'm like, hey, I know how to read, and your life experience as a doctor. The more you treat someone, tell me if the more you treat someone for a specific thing, the better and better. You're better at treating whatever that thing is now, 15, 20 years into your practice than you were in the first 3 years. Because you've seen it more, you know all the different things that can happen. You're just going to do a better job at it because you have that real world experience, not just from a book, but actual, hands-on experience, seeing that. Yeah, and absolutely. You didn't get it from a study, you got it from real application. And how do you not choose to believe your real application? You believe it. At least I think it's worthy to.
Yeah, and doctors will argue about that. And I'm like, no, like case studies are important. They've always been. Why are we forgetting about them? So yeah, that is such a great point. And I think more and more doctors are waking up. So that's
I hope so. Because we need more of you.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell people it's the way that you can really help people, and it's great. So.
Well, this has been awesome. I've kept you longer than I was supposed to. I'm so sorry, but I could probably go another hour. So I really, really appreciate it, and hope to have you back in the future. Tell people where they can follow you, your podcast, and also about especially women being able to get this book.
Yeah, thank you. It's been so fun. Just love chatting about all the things, with another conservative Christian. So that's always fun. And everyone can find me on my website, Healthy by Dr. Jen. You can grab the book there or on Amazon. And I am on Facebook, Instagram mainly, and YouTube at Integrative Dr. Mom, Integrative DR Mom. So have some cool things coming up that would love people to participate in, a coaching program. And also I have programs out there, courses, or they can work with me one-on-one.
Awesome.
I am accepting patients. So yeah, just
great. The one thing I'm going to tell you just from my own experience in doing the podcast, and now we've expanded, is add Rumble. Put your podcast on Rumble, because they're not going to, YouTube's going to mess with us because of who we are. Being Christian conservatives, they're going to mess with us to some degree, and you won't have that issue on Rumble. And there's actually more people on there than we think there are. So that's just a little thing. I want to help you get your message out.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm going to take that advice, just like, you give people advice at the gym. I will take that. So, because someone else mentioned that, and I was like, okay. And I looked into it, and I'll look into it again and see if see how easy or hard that would be, and get that going.
If you
have
a question, call Leo. Leo will tell you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So fun.
All right. Dr. Jen Pfleghaar with us, and tremendous today. We appreciate it very much. And y'all, God bless. And join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday about 9 o'clock, usually maybe a few minutes after Arizona time. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah. Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting.